Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Village Board for Monday, June the 4th, 2018. This evening we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Cub Scout Pack 85. I've got Cub Scout, we'll say Girl Scouts.
And Girl Scouts.
And Cub Scouts. Scouts.
So better first. Is it right into the microphone?
Color Guards attention.
Okay, go ahead, Joseph.
Girl Scouts attention.
Okay, go ahead.
Color Guard advance.
Wait, not yet. I see this. Color
Color Guard
guard halt.
halt. Color Guard post the colors. Please recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color Guard dismissed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scouts. Great job. The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Roberts? Here. Trustee Sutker?
Here.
Trustee Ulrich?
Here.
Trustee Bromberg?
Here.
Trustee Klein?
Here.
Trustee Gray Keeler?
Here.
Mayor Van Dusen?
Here we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. A motion is in order. Trustee Gray Keeler, seconded by Trustee Klein. Is there anything on the consent agenda anybody would like to have removed? If not, I'll call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts?
Aye.
Trustee Sutker?
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich?
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg?
Aye.
Trustee Klein?
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler?
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye, the motion passes. This evening, we are celebrating a milestone for the village of Skokie. We have with us Bonnie Shanahan. Bonnie? I believe Tiny Tot is the longest-running family-owned business in the village of Skokie. I'm not positive, I didn't check on John Haben's funeral home, but they're neck and neck, I think. Quite an achievement. Bonnie and her mother have been, this is their 70th anniversary this year. And we have a proclamation in their honor. I would like to make a couple prefatory notes, however. It's been my pleasure to visit Tiny Tot on a couple different occasions. It is not a preschool in just the traditional sense. In most respects, the preschool is actually just that, a school. It is not just daycare. And if you go, and it's nestled in on Howard Street, right near in a small strip shopping center, right near a convenience store. And literally, it's easy to miss, except if you go inside, it is bustling with activity, and not just kids running around, but bustling with kids learning. And it's incredibly impressive to see the artwork that they do. The past couple of years, Bonnie has invited me over and to watch the intellectual talent. I wish just one day I could do a painting like most of these Tiny Tot preschoolers. And so whereas congratulations are extended to Tiny Tot Preschool and Kindergarten, who are celebrating their 70th anniversary this year, and whereas Tiny Tot Preschool and Kindergarten established their business in August of 1948 by Gene Reeker, and whereas Tiny Tot initially opened in Evanston, moved to Skokie in 1952, and has served our Skokie community at its present location of 4346 Howard Street since 1959. And whereas Tiny Tot is a fifth-generation business where Gene's daughter, Bonnie Shanahan, now directs the center. And whereas Tiny Tot is the longest family-owned early childhood development center in the history of the village of Skokie. And whereas the philosophy behind Tiny Tot's success is grounded in the development of our youth by empowering them to embrace their creativity, ideas, and feelings in a playful, positive, community-based environment. And whereas Tiny Tot provides excellence in education, where their programs are centered on the child as a whole, and encourages their individual uniqueness to develop their physical, social, emotional, and cognitive skills. That's an understatement. Now, therefore, I, George Van Dusen, Mayor of the Village of Skokie, do hereby commemorate the 70th anniversary of Tiny Tot Play School in the Village of Skokie, and we congratulate Tiny Tot and its employees, continued success of their business and commitment to our community. We wish Tiny Tot the very best. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the director, and that name is used advisedly. If you've been there, she does direct the center. Although if you see the children, you might question that. They're a very great group of young people. And Bonnie, if you would join me, I'd like to present this to you.
Well, we're very honored.
have to stand at the microphone.
Oh, you can't hear me, huh? I've been known to speak too loud sometimes. I'm very honored. My mom, who was such a pioneer, would, if she were here, she'd say, "Oh, for heaven's sake, can you imagine this?" She started with $200 and 4 children and a Woody station wagon, and had to go and sell this concept of play and socialization. And it just grew, and we developed. We're truly the story of early childhood and daycare as we know it today. And my whole family has gone through. I went to Tiny Tot, my children, my girls, my 6 grandchildren, my niece, and the 5th generation, that little one over there, Gracie, is the 5th generation of our family to attend Tiny Tot. So, and we have many, many second-generation children, which is so wonderful. One of them just left a little bit ago, whose daughters were in the color guard. They both went to Tiny Tot, and so did their dad. So it's a wonderful community place, I think, and I'm very proud and grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you stop into the convenience store, just drop over and knock on the door. You'll really enjoy having the opportunity. When I say there is a buzz within the school, that's not an exaggeration. It really is a marvelous place. And very inspirational. So Bonnie, thank you and your entire family for everything that you've done.
I might say one more thing. Thursday night, we are having our 70 years of music celebration with a music concert and graduation at the Harvest Chapel up on Caldwell. And everybody's invited. So, thank you.
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Pam Gabarini, who is with our Fine Arts Commission for the 2018 Skokie Award for Artistic Excellence. And Pam, if you would do the honors, and I think, is Janelle Silva here? Janelle was helping to organize it, I thought. Okay.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Van Dusen and Board of Trustees. The Skokie Fine Arts Commission is very excited to present the 2018 Skokie Award for Artistic Excellence to one Skokie artist and one Skokie arts organization. The Commission reviewed many great nominations this year and chose Ellen Blum Barish as an individual and the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra as a group, based on their dedication to the arts and to the community. Ellen Blum Barish and the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra will be added to the Artistic Excellence Perpetual Plaque on display at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie. On behalf of the Skokie Fine Arts Commission, it is my pleasure to first introduce Ellen Blum Barish. Ellen and Mayor Van Dusen, will you please join me at the podium? Ellen Blum Barish has been a resident of Skokie for over 25 years while raising her two daughters, which she claims has been her best work. She's an award-winning writer, editor, and educator whose work has appeared in national print and electronic media. In 2007, she wrote a book called Views from the Home Office Window, which is a collection of essays. She recently finished a memoir. She's been a teacher of journalism and academic writing at several Chicago area universities, including Northwestern, Columbia College Chicago, and North Park University. She loves interacting with other writers in workshops, one-to-one coaching, and through her two online literary magazines, Thread and Stitch. The Skokie Fine Arts Commission and the Board of Trustees are honored to award Ellen Blum Barish with the 2018 Skokie Award for Artistic Excellence. Ellen, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Oh, that's great. So I'm really, really delighted. I'm delighted mostly because I live in a community, and not all do, very few, a community that really acknowledges artists. That is right there, huge. I know that I believe that I'm in pretty good company. I understand that in addition to the Skokie Symphony, that our own Eddie Clearwater was once given this award, and sadly he just recently passed. And so I really want to extend my appreciation for him. He's also a neighbor, was also a neighbor of ours. So he has not only given this city an incredible gift of his beautiful music, but he was also a wonderful neighbor and a lovely human being. And I'm just honored to be on the same list with also him as well as some of the other people on the list as well. I'm also wanting to put a special shout out to Richard Reeder, who I'm pretty sure is responsible for the nomination for all this. It came as a wonderful surprise. So to Richard Reeder, who is also a dear friend and neighbor, I thank you very much for that. As well as members of my family. My husband was my very first investor to the publications that are now about to celebrate 5 years next year. So thank you, David, for believing in me. And I've managed to corral most members of my family to be a part of this as well. My daughter was a storyteller at one of my storytelling events, as was my husband, and my youngest daughter, who's out of town. I tap up on her marketing strategy for all sorts of insights around that. And I just want to say that I'm so delighted to be a Skokie publisher. And one of the things that I want to let you all know about is I think there's so many wonderful literary things going on in this town. Next May, I've gone and rented the Skokie Theater to help celebrate Thread's 5th year. And it's open to the public, and I'd love to have you there May 2nd of 2019 for an evening of storytelling around all sorts of topics, but Thread is curating this. So I want to make it be a Skokie event all the way around, because I'm a Skokie publisher apparently, right? So thank you so very much.
And now, on behalf of the Skokie Fine Arts Commission, we are honored to present the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra with the Artistic Excellence Group Award. Steve Blutza, who is president of the Skokie Valley Symphony Board, will you please join us at the podium? The Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra has provided musical entertainment for adults and children since 1962. Not only has the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra brought world-class musicians to Skokie to perform with the SVSO as guest soloists, they have also encouraged young musicians to bring classical music to their generation. Since 1980, the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra has held an annual competition to select the finest student musicians from across the country. The winners receive a cash prize and are showcased in Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra performances. In 1997, the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra became a permanent resident of the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie. They participate in numerous community events and perform outreach activities for children, persons with physical challenges, and senior citizens. Part of the symphony's mission statement says their goal is to share the excitement of great music with our community, especially young people and families. The Skokie Fine Arts Commission and the Board of Trustees commend the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra on their efforts towards these goals and are very pleased to award them the 2018 Skokie Award for Artistic Excellence. Steve, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Pam, thank you, and thank the other members of the commission. I'm told there are 15.
Yes.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I also want to accept this. When you're an individual, it's easy, but when you're accepting it on behalf of an organization, I want to accept this on behalf of our board, the other members of our board of directors, our music director, Robert Hasty, our concert master, Jeff Yang, and all of our wonderful musicians, some of whom are here. If you could all please stand. I'm particularly pleased that we're getting this award this year, our 56th year of our existence, because from those who have followed the orchestra over the years, they tell me that we are performing at our highest level of musicianship. In addition, as you heard Pam say, not only are we interested in fine music, but we're interested in being part of the community. And this year, we took a significant step toward becoming more involved. We played in schools. We participated in the Coming Together program. We've had chamber groups perform at the Trinity Lutheran Church. And in addition to these events, we've also continued, as Pam mentioned, to have our annual children's concert in the fall, where we have over 800 elementary school students filling the North Shore Center. And just a couple of weeks ago, we had our Young Artist Competition, once again, the Bonnie and Lee Malmud Young Artist Competition. Bonnie and Lee, please stand. And we had 35 wonderful young people between 16 and 22, some from nearby, some from far away. And we had 3 winners, first place, second place, and a runner-up. And the star, the first place, was a 16-year-old young lady from the area playing a violin, and she was just brilliant. Bob Pasty, our music director, and another professor from Northwestern were the judges, and they were as impressed with her as everyone else who heard her. So the orchestra performs for the community, is involved in the community, and this sign of recognition is very important to us. I would add one more thing, that our final event of the season will be this July 15th, a summer concert, which is somewhat new for us, but we invite everyone to attend at the North Shore Center, and fittingly, being on July 15th, it is celebrating American independence and French independence. And we could use all the celebration of independence these days that we can get. So please join us, and thank you so very much once again.
Thank you.
In closing, I would also like to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the Skokie Fine Arts Commission members. Would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. And now please join me one more time in congratulating Ellen Blum-Barish and the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra. In a short while, we invite everyone to a reception outside the council chambers in honor of this year's award recipients. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. So everybody get your calendars out. July 15th, Skokie Valley Symphony, and May 2nd, it's not too early, get it on your calendar, May 2nd, the Skokie Theater. I recently gave a short address, believe it or not, it was short. And afterward, a very nice gentleman came up to me and said, "Don't you ever get tired bragging about Skokie?" Well, you can see this evening why I never get tired. There's never any shortage of material. Any community that has a Bonnie Shanahan and a Tiny Tot, and Ellen Blum-Barish, and a Skokie Valley Symphony with such talent, it's a pretty easy job to be able to brag. We are a community that believes in education and the arts, and you can see why this evening. It is important because it says a lot about who we are and not just today, but who we've been and who we will continue to be. So our congratulations goes to Ellen and to Bonnie and the Skokie Valley Symphony. Thank you for everything you give to our community. On a sad note, I do want to say a couple words about Eddie Clearwater. It was, in fact, the irony is that it was the Skokie Fine Arts Commission that did recognize him in just 2015. And it wasn't too long after that that Eddie was inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame, as a matter of fact. And almost exactly 6 months ago, the village board recognized his birthday. It was January the 6th of this year. Anybody who ever saw him in performance literally would never forget him. He was the nicest of people. He was enormously talented. And everywhere he went, he bragged about his neighbors in the village of Skokie. I had the pleasure, my wife and I, of attending his birthday party this year. And place was packed. The walls were screaming with his music. And you could see on his face that he wasn't 83 years old. This was a man who was still a teenager at heart. And he loved playing the music. And you see the same thing when you go to the Skokie Valley Symphony and you look in the eyes of the concertmaster and the performers. There's just something about that. And while this evening we mourn the loss of Eddie, we are grateful that we had him as a neighbor and a friend and a person of such great artistic accomplishment. So thank you, everybody. Why don't we take a short break so indeed we can personally thank everybody. And so we'll resume the meeting in about 5 or 10 minutes. So let's take a short break for the reception.
So.
Okay. The meeting of the Skokie Village Board will resume. Next item on the agenda is report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Duzen and Village Board. Good evening, everyone. Item A is regarding the adoption of our FY 2019, fiscal year 2019 budget. Included in the agenda packet is a summary of the actions and decisions made by the Mayor and Board of Trustees during their review of the fiscal year 2019 budget. These actions are the result of 3 public hearings conducted by the Board in April on the 9th, 18th, and 23rd. In summary, the general fund for fiscal year 2019 equates to $60,315,458. All funds, including water, pensions, economic development, motor fuel, and local fuel tax, self-insurance, general obligation bonded debt, tax increment financing, federal aid, performing arts center, convention and visitors bureau, capital improvement program, wireless alarms, and special service areas total $120,796,980. The Illinois state budget was fully approved today. This budget diverts $860,000 from Skokie to the state of Illinois. The state is claiming municipal revenue in 3 areas. 5% of the village's share of the income tax, commonly termed the local government distributive fund. This is $300,000 of a reduction to the village. The state is also taking 1.5% of the municipal sales tax. This diverts $290,000 from Skokie. The state is also claiming $270,000 of the village's corporate personal property replacement tax. In summary, the state will take $860,000 from the village of Skokie in the coming year. As discussed during the budget hearings, the village's budget is balanced for this year. However, starting May 1st of next year, May 1st of 2019, there's a projected annual budget deficit. The state's diversion of municipal revenue nearly matches the village projected shortfall for the village's upcoming fiscal year, which starts May 1st of 2019. Skokie is not alone in facing these financial issues. The state budget will divert $302 million from the corporate personal property replacement tax distributions across our state. Plus, the state is diverting $77.5 million in sales tax from municipalities across Illinois to the state. Again, the action before the village board this evening is specific to the village's FY 2019 budget. Board approval of the FY 2019 budget is respectfully requested.
Okay, first, I would like to ask for a motion, as requested by John, to approve the village's budget for FY 19. Motion is in order. Trustee Alanka Ulrich, seconded by Trustee Sutker. I'm not as constrained as John. The village, and we're not alone, all of the municipalities, at least within our acquaintance, worked very hard in putting together our annual budgets. Our budget this year, as it has been for the past few years, is what I would term a maintenance budget. No new major programs, but continuation of all of the programs that we have come to expect from our great staff. When the state of Illinois claims $860,000 this year, last year, if I remember correctly, it was $1.2 million. It isn't just claiming money. What they, in essence, are doing is taking the taxpayers of the village of Skokie, just as they do all of the other municipalities, as John outlined, This is money that goes to essential services, police, fire, public works, public health, economic development, and all of the other functions that municipalities do for their residents. And when we have these losses, it means that we are left with some dire choices, making cuts in service, increasing taxes, or a mixture of those two choices. It's an unfortunate situation. We salute the state for finally passing a budget which we are told is balanced. That's the good news. The bad news is that this isn't so good for the residents of our municipalities. And my hope, along with, I think, everybody else's who work in municipal work, is that the state at long last will begin to get its house in order, and that these types of diversions will cease, and that we can get back to normal business in short order. So if anybody on the board has any comments, we would invite them now, and then we will take a vote on the budget for FY 2019. Are there any comments? If not, if the clerk would call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
That completes my report this evening.
Okay, John, thank you, and thanks to Jason and everybody else on the staff who has worked so hard in helping navigate us through this year's budget. Job well done. Next item on the agenda is report of our Corporation Counsel, Michael Lorge.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. Good evening, everyone. Items A and B were on the consent agenda at the beginning of this evening's meeting, and they were adopted. Item C is on the agenda for first reading. This ordinance will approve a plat of subdivision with a dedication to the Illinois Department of Transportation for the property located at 3552 to 3564 Dempster Street, which is in a B2 commercial district. The dedication of the land to the Illinois Department of Transportation will be used for right-of-way purposes. This item will be on the June 18th, 2018 agenda for second reading and board action. The item D on my agenda is a request for an executive session in accordance with paragraph 2C11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act pertaining to the review and discussion of pending litigation.
And this is not for June 18th, this is for this evening.
That's our deep hope.
Motion is in order on the request for executive session. Trustee Bromberg, seconded by Trustee Gray Keeler. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
That would conclude my report.
Thank you. This evening, we have two items under our Planned Commission. Chairman Paul Luke with Peter Pyer.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. The first case before you tonight is case 2018-09P, a special use permit at 7520 Skokie Boulevard. At the May 3rd meeting of the Plan Commission, we reviewed the request of S.A. Skokie LLC on behalf of Agape Life Outreach Center Ministries for a special use permit to expand a religious assembly use at 7520 Skokie Boulevard in the B2 Commercial Zoning District. Agape Life Outreach Center Ministries, which has been operating at this building since 2015, intends to convert a hallway and several vacant offices adjacent to its existing 85-seat sanctuary into a social hall for its congregation. The social hall will be divided from the worship area by a permanent wall. The front entrance to the remaining office space within the building will be relocated, and a new lobby hallway leading from the relocated entrance will be built to the south of the social hall. The petitioner explained at the meeting that the social hall will be utilized throughout the week for fellowship activities as well as for meetings and community-based classes. Both activities currently take place in the sanctuary. A resident from the 4800 block of Jerome Street spoke and explained that she has no off-street parking at her property and has experienced parking and traffic congestion problems on her block as a result of the religious assembly use located nearby. When the Agape and the nearby Ethical Humanist Society congregation have events at the same time on weeknights and Sunday mornings and afternoons, congregants from both religious organizations often end up parking on her block after their parking lots have filled up. Staff responded that the off-site parking problems exist on a short-term basis around most religious institutions in the village. The proposed expansion of the religious assembly use will not add to the on-street parking problem because the social hall will not be occupied when church services when church services are taking place. The Plan Commission concurred with staff's recommendation to grant the special use, subject to all the conditions. And Pastor Brown is in the audience tonight, and he is available for any questioning.
Pastor, welcome. A motion would be in order on the special use permit, case 2018-09P. Trustee Sucker, seconded by Trustee Roberts. Are there any comments or questions? Trustee Roberts.
So the way this church is already operating under a special use permit now, and it limits their occupancy to 85. And this new special use doesn't really change that, right? It's more of a reconfiguration of the interior space. Would that be accurate to say?
Their intent is not to add to their 85, it's just to expand their capabilities, to facilitate the,
And they have parking for 33 spots, which staff considers meets the parking requirements?
Yes.
Yes, it's one space for every 4 seats. And actually, by creating the social hall, they reduced the amount of office space in the building. So the actual parking requirement for the building is being reduced rather than increased.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any, oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Sucker.
What is the membership now of the church?
I don't know. Pastor Brown?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, right now it's about 100, but we do have 2 services.
These classes that you're going to be offering, that's a non-for-profit organization offered for free, these
Yes,
hearing classes?
yes,
Okay.
because actually tomorrow begins our first sign language class.
Sign language,
tomorrow.
okay. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts?
Aye.
Trustee Sutker?
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich?
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg?
Aye.
Trustee Klein?
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler?
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye, the motion passes. Congratulations.
My next case is case 2018-10P, also special use permit at 5237 Gulf. Also at the May 3rd Plan Commission meeting, we reviewed the request, which involves a request for a special use permit for outdoor dining in a B2 commercial district. A special use permit is required due to the potential impact of outdoor dining may have on the surrounding area. The request also includes relief from the village code to allow the reuse of an existing ground sign with a sign face of greater than 35 square feet. Business at this new bubble tea cafe is getting better, and they wish to incorporate outdoor seating. Their clientele is mostly teens, and they want to provide the option of enjoying refreshments and snacks in the fresh air on the patio. The outdoor dining area will include 3 tables and will be located on a brick paved pad surrounded by a guardrail with fencing and include a garbage can within or immediately adjacent to the outdoor dining area. Consideration was given to allow additional tables. The new sign faces, actually the sign itself, the logo, and the background were installed into an existing 8x10 ground sign cabinet, which predates the current sign regulations of the village code. Allowable ground use size for this site are 35 square feet or 50 square feet with changeable copy. The sign would need to be damaged or destroyed to be brought into compliance with the village code. The Plan Commission concurred with the staff's recommendation to grant the special use.
A motion on Plan Commission case special use permit 2018-10P would be in order. Trustee Gray Keeler, seconded by Trustee Klein. Does anybody have any questions on T-Rex? Love that name. I love that name.
Good tea, too,
Klein.
also.
I beg your
It
pardon?
was good tea.
It is.
Just for the record, the previous owner or occupant of the property did have outdoor dining in exactly that same position. When it was Duke's, they had outdoor benches, picnic benches.
I'm not sure, I don't remember that.
I do, because I remember where my butt was. So.
Okay. I remember Duke's.
Too much information, Trustee Klein. Thank you very much.
Just FYI.
We thank the trustee for those impactful comments. A motion on the special use permit, please.
Motion.
Call the roll,
Okay.
sorry.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee
A little
Sutcliffe.
flummox there.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, and this evening, we will ask Trustee Klein to please make the motion to adjourn.
Well, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Thank you.